Predators are feeling pretty good right now. 2 straight wins going into a big week on the road. We'll talk about last week and the games coming up this week today on Locked On Predators, plus our plus minuses. What do we like? What do we not like from the Predators over the past week? That's coming up on today's show. And why the Predators dropping the gloves a little bit more this year is more important of a development than you think. That's all coming up today.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day. I'm Nick Morgan. I'm a writing editor on theforecheck.com, and I have a partner in crime who is feeling recharged after back-to-back wins for the Preds.
I am Ann Kimmel. I'm a writer at ontheforecheck.com, and I am liking the back-to-back win streak.
It feels good, doesn't it? It's better than 4 straight losses.
Yes, it's so much better for like the whole gastrointestinal system and everything else. Yes.
Well, we do have a lot of good hockey things to talk about today. Predators, of course, back-to-back wins. They have a big road trip coming up. One of them is against the Seattle Kraken, plus some plus minuses from some high points from the past week. But we would be remiss if we did not start with what has kind of become the major story around hockey over the past 48 hours, and that is the incident with Jordan Subban down in the ECHL. If you don't know what we're talking about, the video is available pretty much everywhere you look. A minor league player who we're not going to name because we're not going to give him, any sort of publicity there, got in, kind of a scrap with Jordan Subban. As they were being separated, that player decided to do a couple of racial gestures towards Subban, and the ECHL has announced that player is suspended indefinitely. His team, the Jacksonville Icemen, have cut him, and here we are again. On the week we are honoring Willie O'Ree across the NHL, you have the second incident pretty much exactly like this over the past week.
Yeah, this is it's beyond disappointing. It's beyond disappointing. And what is so frustrating is I think we just continue to have to revisit incident after incident. And there comes a point in time where this has to change. And what's unfortunate is I don't think that this is going to be a change that comes from leadership in the leagues, despite what they say, despite how they want to be perceived. I think this is a problem that is not going to be addressed by leadership. And so I think it's going to fall on players and fans. And unfortunately, we're at a point where players and fans are going to have to mobilize and do something, because this incident was, it was really just disturbing. No, I will say that this player released a video who made this racial gesture, kind of apologizing. He did apologize, but he said that this was not racially motivated. The problem with that and the problem with the league is that this, the NHL, the AHL, the ECHL, OHL, I mean, we could go on and on and on. These leagues, their history of tolerance with things like racism means that this player is not going to be afforded the benefit of the doubt, because these leagues and the leadership of these leagues have really not ever been effective in calling out, rooting out, and dealing with these situations. And so while he can say it was a misunderstanding, you just aren't given the benefit of the doubt, because these quote unquote misunderstandings continue to happen in hockey and are excused and are overlooked and are, quote unquote rehabilitated. These players are reformed and re-enter the league. So PK Subban, also want to give a shout out. PK did a video and talked about it and addressed the issue. And I think that is well worth a watch for anybody who is interested in getting some good perspective on that. So I want to give a shout out to Big Brother PK for also addressing that. But this is just a disturbing and exhausting issue in hockey.
Well,
it's exhausting.
You heard what PK said, where he's like, he couldn't get any sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And his heart, he said, his heart kind of broke for all of the kids who go through this that we don't see because they're not caught on video. How many times does this happen in minor leagues of any sport where, a player does this to a player of color, and we don't hear about it because it's not caught on video?
Yes.
Or, maybe like the 6-year-old black player doesn't really understand what just happened. Or, the other player has parents and good influence that can kind of talk their way out of it.
Yes.
And it makes you think that this is a reminder of just how much as a society this is still a rooted problem is. We can talk about this being an NHL problem all day, and, we certainly have our thoughts on that, but it's a societal problem. We live in a country where 150 years ago, Black people weren't even considered a full legal human being. The first ever World Series was played just 40 years. Get that, 40 years after slavery was abolished. Like, that is how raw and how timely there's, major issues in this country still exist. And it's just a reminder that for as many times as people who look like me or you want to go around and say, well, things are better now, and, put up a bunch of out of context Martin Luther King quotes on his birthday, and, all this celebratory stuff about, civil rights movement. Yay, it fixed everything. Right. It's just a reminder that this is still rooted in our country and our society. And the issues in hockey are not going to go away until we fix those issues in society, because these people are always going to exist until we finally come together and say, you know what, zero tolerance. There's a lot of stuff we can, agree to disagree on. Thinking less of somebody because of how they look, who they love, where they come from, should be zero tolerance, and that should be something everybody agrees on.
Yes. Yeah, this is not difficult. And in this situation, one of the points that I want to make is that one of the defense that people will say, and that we've seen repeatedly, especially with younger players, is, they're young, they made a mistake. Didn't you ever make a mistake? It shouldn't cost them, it shouldn't cost him his dream of being a hockey player. And I just want to say, and I don't say this as a pessimist, I am the ultimate optimist, but I just want to say, people all the time don't achieve their dreams. People all the time don't achieve their dreams. And just because somebody is good in an athletic endeavor doesn't mean that they are entitled to extra grace. And that's not to say that this young man isn't going to grow and learn from this, because hopefully, I think I have to believe that he will grow and learn from this. But that doesn't mean that growth and learning means that you get back what something has cost you. And we've seen that happen too many times in hockey, where they apologize, they step out of the spotlight, and then suddenly they reemerge, and this is their second chance. Sometimes in life, really good people don't get second chances. And that's okay. That's a life lesson. So being good at hockey doesn't excuse you from walking out that life lesson. And I think we need to start seeing more of that in sports.
We pick and choose who gets second chances, right?
Right.
And it depends on how good,
exactly.
And it doesn't do anything for the players involved either, as much as it angers the fans, if these people who do these things, and it's not just a racist incident, but look at Logan Mailloux from Montreal, look at Evander Kane, look at like somebody like Greg Hardy in the NFL. We look at a player saying the right things and think think they've grown. Like, we think it's like, oh, well, they've clearly understand their mistake now. They're good at hockey, so we could really use a player like them. And that's just not how growth works. It's unrealistic. And I think, need to be a little bit harder on, making sure they're actually growing. And to be clear, I am all for second chances. I am
absolutely
who wants to reform, wants to learn from their past mistakes, and wants to better themselves. But I don't think issuing an apology is the gateway to that ending.
Right. And I don't think the NHL, which has tolerated this and excused these incidents for so long, can be a believable medium for reformation and change and growth. That can't happen. I just don't think that the leagues are believable change agents in somebody's mind when it comes to issues like racism, homophobia, misogyny. I just don't believe that.
Yeah, that's that is a good point. I think that's a good point to end on, is just that the leagues have to be better. And I think the leagues need to step in on some of these players who, before they come back in the league, I think the league needs to be a little bit harder on look. Like, maybe someday down the road, but we need more. We need to see more from you. We need to believe you're an agent of change and not just saying the right things so you can get back on an NHL team. That's certainly enough to end on. Certainly a complicated topic, and there's obviously no easy transition, but we do have plenty of, I guess, better hockey to talk about. Predators have 2 straight wins. We're going to say what has worked well over the past week. First, though, wanted to mention our friends over at Built Bar. It's the new year, so that means New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure to include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar. Built Bar makes it easy to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good, you'll actually want to eat it. Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate, but low in calories, low in sugar, low in net carbs, and high in protein. Plus, so many flavors to choose from: coconut almond, peanut butter brownie, raspberry, cookies and cream, salted caramel, mint brownie, and many, many more. In fact, Built Bar is always coming out with new limited time flavors, so be sure to check built.com often to see what's new. And while you're there, use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your Built Bar order. Again, use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Well, thank you, everybody, for making Locked On Predators your first listen of the day. As always, a big week for the Predators. They play the Seattle Kraken tomorrow. Revenge game.
Come on. Come on.
Really tired of, being the Kraken's first win and kind of being the butt of everybody's jokes. And we have a crossover tomorrow, and to get us ready for the game.
I do. So I did a crossover episode, or a squad cast, as we like to call them, with the host of Locked On Kraken, Erica Ayala. And she and I looked back at that super fun October game, the Kraken's first win, the Predators' opening game loss, and talked. Well, she seemed a little more delighted by it, that segment, than I was. And then we talked about where the teams are. So you'll get a good idea of kind of where the Kraken are, what's going well for them, what are they working on. And we go ahead and we make ourselves some bold predictions about how tomorrow night's game is going to go. So we're going to have all that tomorrow on Locked On Predators for you.
Awesome. Hey, we got some also more hockey to talk about. Predators versus Red Wings. Always
Yes.
a win over Detroit, isn't it? 4-1 win for the Predators there. Yeah, I mean, this is the back-to-back win. And yeah, it's, Detroit, who's kind of in a bit of a puddle right now.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime you can get a win like the way the Preds got it, you got to be happy with it.
Yeah, I thought this was a really good win. And you know what? Detroit, you can say that they're struggling. They're definitely not at the top of the standings, but that's one of those teams that can always trip you up. You always have a little bit of beware with a Detroit team. And I thought the Predators did a great job. I loved watching the young guys from Detroit, our Calder company from Detroit, and Tanner Jeannot, who seemed quite certain that he wanted them to know his name. So I thought that was a really interesting, exciting aspect of the game. The game did not start out as exciting, maybe, as it was not cliffhanger hockey for that first period. But it did turn out to be a great game, and it was good to see the Predators looking like the Nashville Predators again.
Yeah, I mean, it was another instance of them kind of going back to their identity,
Yes.
Solid forechecking, kind of timely, gritty, dirty goals like the ones we talked about. Nick Cousins' first goal was kind of a perfect example of that. Just kind of happened to be in a perfect place to send that puck home. And then I think there's plenty to be happy about if you're the Nashville Predators. They've kind of gone back to what they looked like before that 4-game slide, how they catapulted themselves back to the top of the Central Division. And to me, that is kind of the bigger thing than wins and losses at this point, is you just want to stay at that level of consistent play. Obviously, you're going to have a couple stinkers here and there. It's hockey.
Right.
It happens. But I think more than wins and losses, how you're going to judge whether this team can really contend or if they're just on a hot streak is how they're playing. And, if you play like that, even if you maybe lose a tight game to a team like, let's say, Minnesota or St. Louis or something like that, if you play like that and you lose 3-2 or 2-1 on a bad bounce, that's fine, because you're still at that level. And I think that's kind of the more important thing for the Predators at this point.
I do too. And I think at this point in the season, you're in the meat of the season. You're in the kind of the slog where you really want to make sure that everything is kind of muscle memory for when you're going to hit the playoffs. And I think the Predators are in a good place for that. And I agree with you. I think that the Predators are going to win out. No, I don't. I really do believe. I'm okay with it if they decide to. Let's not put a limit, but I think where they're at, if they can continue to play this way and sort of get this identity play in their muscle memory, when it comes time for the playoffs, they're going to be in a good position. Of course, you always have factors like injury. We saw COVID became a factor. Eeli Tolvanen missed the Detroit game, which was such a bummer for me. I was really hoping to have him back or have him in that game. So there are going to be some factors, but I think if the team can continue to build their momentum and play this identity hockey where they're at, the wins and losses will take care of themselves and will balance out, and they'll be in a good spot come playoff time, because that's where we're looking. Can you believe that, Nick? That's where we're looking.
Yeah, this is a team competitive rebuild or retool or whatever we were talking about. Well, they have certainly been competitive, haven't they?
I love it. I know it's like this youth movement I don't know what the language is, but I'm liking what's happening.
I know. Positive to whatever nomenclature you want to use, David Poyle.
That's right.
It's working. Let's look ahead to this week, because this is another case of the Predators maybe smelling blood in the water if they keep their focus. As we mentioned, Seattle tomorrow. Kraken are a team that's, quite frankly, hasn't lived up to a lot of expectations they were put under this year. I'm sure you and Erica can talk about that. And then Thursday, you have the Edmonton Oilers, who are a train wreck if that train wreck was also carrying a dumpster fire on one of the and the dumpster was full of just flaming crap. Like that is what the Edmonton Oilers are right now.
Bless their hearts.
It's not good. But
Not
yeah,
good.
I mean, these are two teams that are on, I guess, kind of a downward slope right now. And if you're the Nashville Predators, who you know, hopefully on a bit of an upward slope, this is kind of like a statement game. It's like, okay, you know what? These are two not only chances for 4 pretty easy points, kind of a statement. It's like, look, you know, we're not going to change the way we play because of who we're playing. This is a chance for us to kind of keep our momentum and focus on getting better.
Well, and I talked with Erica about this, and I think that the Nashville Predators team that the Seattle Kraken are going to be facing tomorrow night look very different than the Nashville Predators team that the Seattle Kraken faced off against in October. You know, this team started, well, fingers crossed, and all the other hockey voodoo that we have. But I feel like, you know, that team that started 1-4 is not the same team, or it was the same team, but they've kind of grown into their game. So I think that there is a strong possibility for some revenge and maybe a little stick it to them for making us the trivia answer to a Seattle Kraken question someday in the NHL. So we have that going on. The other thing that we want to talk about today, though, it is Monday, Nick. And you know what Monday means?
Plus,
minus. Oh, we have hand gestures and everything. If you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing out. So we're going to get to our plus minus. We're going to talk about what's been going well and what's not been going well. But in the spirit of plus minus and all things mathematic, I want to introduce and acknowledge our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline is wishing us a happy new betting year in 2022, and they are available for March to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline is your number one spot for all sports betting, all wagering action for 2022. It's a new year. They have a new updated desktop. They also have a mobile website, and you can go to that. You can sign up today, and you can get a 50% welcome bonus if you use our promo code Locked On, and that'll get you started. They have football. They have basketball. Of course, they have hockey. They have boxing, UFC. They have your favorite Vegas casino games. So don't wait to take advantage of all of their offers for 2022. BetOnline is your fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
All right, it's time for Plus Minus. It is our weekly Monday segment. Yes, we have hand gestures now.
We have hand gestures. I'm liking it. I'm liking it.
This is the new thing that's going to sweep the greater Nashville area.
There's choreography, hockey choreography.
There you go. There's the musical lover in you is loving it.
That's right.
Yeah, so if you're a newer follower of Locked On Predators, basically plus minus is we go through the past week of Preds hockey. We give pluses to the things we liked from the past week, players that are hot, things about the game we like, and minuses to the things that could use some improvement or leave us on a bit of a sour note. And would you like to get us started with a plus?
I would love to start out positive. So I want to give my first plus to Matt Tennyson and to the minds that brought Matt Tennyson to this game. To this team. He had a 2-point game against Detroit. He's somebody who has kind of had to jump in and plug in with some of these absences going on. And, you know, Matt Tennyson is representative of what I think we might need to give David Poile some credit for. And I know that causes very many people to like their throats to get a little swollen and hives to break out. But Matt Tennyson is a good bring-in. This is one of those maybe smaller parts, smaller players, but there are no small parts. There are only small actors and hockey players. So Matt Tennyson has come in and he has done the job that the Predators have asked of him, and he's contributing. And so shout out to Mr. Matt Tennyson. Well done, young man. Well, medium age hockey man.
Yeah, it's always weird when it's like, oh, we're talking about a veteran player, and it's like, wait, they're like a year younger than me.
I could be his mom. Yes, it's weird.
No, I 100% agree with you on Matt Tennyson. And he got the call up right as we were talking about, hey, the Predators could maybe use some fresh blood. Matt Tennyson was a guy who has 150 games of NHL experience. He's been in a lot of teams, a lot of organizations. He knows what it takes to play at this level. And he's somebody that I think could come in and kind of steady the ship for the Predators.
Yes.
Obviously, when you didn't have Ekholm for a while and now you're without Fabro, they kind of needed somebody, a veteran presence to kind of just be, give you some reliable minutes. And that's what Matt Tennyson has done. So I agree. I think he's played fantastic hockey in the couple of games he's been up. I'm going to stick with the Mets.
Oh, excellent.
I'm going to give a group plus to Matt Duchene, Philip Forsberg, and Mikael Granlund.
Yes.
That top line chemistry looks like it was back. In the 4-game slide, they kind of disappeared for a while, didn't they? We had talked about how hot of a season they had been on, had been kind of kept off the score sheet. But the last 2 games, they've come out in a big way. Matt Duchene with the 2-goal game against Detroit. Mikael Granlund had a 3-point game Thursday night. And then Philip Forsberg is Philip Forsberg. He's 32 points in 30 games this season, just got his 20th of the season, on pace for his best season as a Predator.
Well-timed, Philip Forsberg. Well-timed.
Yeah, because that was kind of the thing, is we were wondering, it's like, hey, this top line, can they keep the magic going all year? Is it just 3 people who happen to be on a hot streak? But I think they flashed why their chemistry is so good tomorrow, or, not tomorrow, why their chemistry is so good this season. You saw it on that first Matt Duchene goal, that little give and go with Forsberg, and then just kind of a tic-tac-toe to a wide open Matt Duchene in the slot. It's just like, it was like watching figure skating, but with players trying to smack a small rubber circle thing around.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
It was. And that's the kind of chemistry you're looking for. And that is a reminder of why they play so well together and why the Predators need them to stay hot through this entire season.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And they were definitely on my plus list as well. That top line, there is magic there. And I love seeing the success of Philip Forsberg. It's well-timed. I am delighted to see Matt Duchene do as well as he has, because I have been a Matt Duchene fan from the get-go. I really believed in him. Now, we are usually all sunshine and roses, Nick, but we do have to talk about some minuses. Like, we got some minuses coming up. And my first minus, I only have 2. I'm not super poopy, but my first minus is penalties. Can we talk about stick penalties for a minute? Yeah. Like, I literally had this moment where I was like, are there hockey sticks like Pinocchio and they're growing unexpectedly because they are just having trouble keeping track of their sticks? We're talking hooking, we're talking high sticking, we're talking tripping, and it just feels a little bit sloppy. There were 24 penalties in the last 4 games. Not all of those were stick penalties, but more than enough were. Fellas, like, I'm going to need you to control the stick, and that's just key for me. So a minus for me is some of those sloppy penalties. Let's clean some of that up, please.
Yeah, 5 power plays given up to the Detroit Red Wings. Luckily, the Red Wings didn't capitalize because their power play is a thing.
Yeah, a thing.
It is a thing. But yeah, I mean, that's something that the Preds are going to have to clean up going forward, because as we mentioned plenty of times before, there are some teams you don't want to give 5 power play opportunities to, one of whom the Predators play this week. So
yes,
that is something to keep an eye on for sure as we head into the stretch. And I am going to give a minus to the entire Ryan Ellis, Cody Glass, Philip Myers trade. Yeah. That's, boy, I mean, it's just kind of like, this probably is a podcast all of its own, but
yes,
Ryan Ellis has not played a lot in Philadelphia because of injuries, but over here, Myers and Glass, not a great first season for the Nashville Predators. Philip Myers was supposed to kind of be like the right now piece of that trade, like the guy who was going to step in right now and kind of be an instant impact for the Predators towards the bottom of the defensive lineup. And I know we were advocating for more playing time, but he hasn't played extremely well in the time he's gotten. And, you could say, oh, well, he's, a young player. He's learning. He's roughly the same age as Dante Fabro, who is a major part of this team. Same age as Alexander Carrier, who is a big part of this team. So I don't think it's, an excuse of, oh, well, he's young and he's still learning anymore. I think it's actually a concern about, okay, what do the Predators get? And then Cody Glass, look, he's a younger player. He's got a little bit more potential, and we know the Predators are very picky with the growth of some of their prospects. But this was a guy who was on the cusp of being a regular player for the Vegas Golden Knights, a guy who had a lot of top 9 playing time with them. And we kind of all thought that, some of his issues were just that Vegas has a lot of really good players and he was not really finding the time he needed. But it is surprising that he hasn't been able to get past Milwaukee.
Yes.
He's in Milwaukee this season and kind of having a good year, but not a year that makes you think it's like, oh, he's for 100% going to be the next guy up for the Predators. And that's concerning because now, the Predators traded one of their best blue chips in a trade, Ryan Ellis, for 2 guys where you're now kind of starting to wonder, what is
there? Yeah. That one is tough. And I was surprised to see, and again, you're right. The Predators, they simmer their young guys, but I was really surprised to see Cody Glass not having a more pronounced role. But look, we're not going to end on negative. We always have to end on positive. And I have a positive that I think everybody is going to be very excited about. And I was delighted by this. This may surprise you, Nick, but my last positive is, believe it or not, the Stadium Series jerseys. And let me tell you why.
Okay, go for it.
Do you know about this?
I don't know, but go ahead and say what you're going to say.
Okay. So went to a game this past week and stopped in, of course, as we always do, looking for the on sale Rem Pitlick items that are nowhere to be found. That's a whole minus. But anyway, went in there. And if you look carefully, friends, the Stadium Series jerseys have had some slight modifications, and they are delightful. Like, we have been heard, friends. Let's change the world. The letters no longer overlap the gold stripe, and there's still a little bit of variation in the font, but it's not as pronounced. And friends, they are a work of art. So shout out to the slight modification that has made me want a Stadium Series jersey. So if you were really hopeful for one and you thought, no, I can't possibly look at this thing consistently, go get yourself your Stadium Series jersey because they have been slightly modified and they are delightful.
I was going to say, they're growing on me. They're really growing with me. During the broadcast, I can't remember if it was Thursday or Saturday, but they did like a little montage of showing people in the stands wearing the Stadium jerseys. And I'm like, okay, they look a little bit better.
Yes.
And I did notice that they changed the font, so it's not like overlapping anymore.
Yes.
So they must be listening to Locked On Predators and getting some feedback that way.
Who's not?
And last plus of the day, fighting.
Oh.
Now, look, I want to put it in this context because I know a lot of people don't feel the same way about fighting as other fans, but the Predators do lead the NHL and fighting majors this season by 11. And I want to put it in two contexts. It's not only are they winning pretty much the majority of the fights they're in, going through hockeyfights.com, like the ratings where you can vote on, the rough kind I have is like 90% of them are either a Preds win or the very least a draw.
Yes.
But it's also, in the context of the game too, they're standing up for teammates. Like you had the Mark Borowiecki and Giovanni Smith thing at the end of the Red Wings where, Smith just kind of wanted a piece of somebody. Borowiecki stepped in and, put an end to it. Benning standing up to Tyler Bertuzzi, I think was a big thing. So you're kind of sending this message like, look, we're not going to be pushed around. Like
Yes.
maybe the Predators from, 2018 to 2020, maybe you could, chirp at us and get away with it. And maybe you can, give us a little slash behind the whistle and get away with it. Run a play or something like that. This year, it's like, no, like we're not going to take it. They're going full D Snyder on teams across the NHL.
Not today, Satan.
Not today. Yeah, they're not going to take it anymore. And I think that is a refreshing change to see from the Nashville Predators is them standing up for themselves and their teammates.
Amen. Let's hear it. And again, not a huge proponent of fighting, but if you feel like you need to defend your teammates or stand up for something, then the statement is being made by the Nashville Predators for sure.
100%. It's refreshing to see. Well, big week ahead for the Nashville Predators. Tomorrow, we have a Locked On podcast crossover with Erica Ayala from Locked On Kraken. Also this week, a way too early look at the Predators trade deadline. What do you want to see them do? Do you want to see them bring in anybody? Plus a couple of names that we've seen thrown around that might be on the market. So we'll go into that. And in the meantime, where can the people find your work online?
So you can find my work at ontheforecheck.com, and you can find me on Twitter at ANK_Mama on Ice.
You can find me at ontheforecheck.com as well. Follow me at Twitter at _NSMorgan. Also be sure to give the show a follow at LO_Predators. Thank you as always for making Locked On Preds your first listen of the day. We will see you tomorrow for some Predators versus Kraken preview. Have a good day, everybody.